Hi, welcome to You Can Play Jazz. My name's Simon Curry. Today we're going to talk about sound, throat position and how to get a pro sound out of the saxophone. Now when the students come along to see me, you can tell where they are stage-wise by their throat shape and the way they sound. And they'll sound very thin sound, their throat will be very closed and it will be this kind of sound. So now the way to change this is to open the throat into a nice big open position, and it's all about the vibration of the reed, making it vibrate nicely. Now there's two ways we can explain this. The first way is that you're eating a hot potato and it's burning your throat and you want to blow out a candle from a distance, so your sound, and it's a type of hot air that comes out. Now also the throat shape is like a secret yawn. If you're in a maths lesson or you're doing some kind of boring meeting or something, then you want you're just about to do a yawn and you don't want them to see you yawning, and it's called a secret yawn. So you do the yawn with your mouth closed. Now that throat shape is really good throat shape for the majority of the instruments. I'll go through the different throat shapes in a minute, but the one for the biggest sound for a G and below is the completely open one, and it's a sound, so you get a kind of, and it's a big open throat sound. So if I talk, my throat is like this big. So that's one of the things that will give you a better sound. I've got an exercise to show you in a minute. Now the other thing that makes a difference is the pressure you have on the reed. Now if you've got a pressure of 0 on the reed, no pressure whatsoever, you just get air through it. Now if you've got a pressure on the reed of 10, nothing comes through. Now students I hear generally play on a 6 to 8 pressure, and it's almost bitten to death. So now this brings me to another demonstration I can show you with a book. Now it's all to do with the centered sound of the reed and what the reed vibrates. So now if you've got your teeth there and your bottom lip here underneath, and the reed's vibrating. Now see that how that vibrates nicely? That's what's called the natural frequency of that book. Now if I change my vibration, I vibrate it like that, and all of a sudden the book stops to vibrating because I'm biting too hard. So you let the pressure go and it starts to vibrate nicely. And that's the same when I take a little bit less of a book. Now like this, I can vibrate it a lot faster, but then I take the pressure off and it doesn't vibrate at all. And that's what's called the natural frequency of anything really. So we're talking about reeds. That was a reed. Now if I start with a 10 pressure and I go down, actually I start with a zero pressure, and I blow harder and it honks, and I'll honk it as long as I can, and that honking sound is about where your pressure should be. It should be about a 2 or a 3 at most, and you just control that sound. It works best on a G. I call it the big G lesson. Now the throat shapes you should be having with the different notes only change really at the higher end of the instrument. So I'm guessing, well not guessing, from my experience, the lower notes I've got a very big open chamber, even when I play quietly. The pressure on my reed is as little as a 2. If I did the same thing with like a 6 pressure, I lose all the quality of the sound. The reed stops vibrating. Now, with your throat chamber, as you get higher, above a G upwards, actually probably above a D, a middle D, so the bottom will be the biggest chamber you've got, and the D I start closing down a bit. So the big chamber would be an ooh sound, and the middle chamber, or the middle notes, will be an ah sound. Now as you get to the top D and upwards, it starts to become more of an E sound. And then, now if you can do the harmonics, then it goes into a completely smallest chamber you've got, like E sound. So I went from an ooh to an ah to an E at the top there. And that's with my throat chamber. It gives it support on the harmonics and the high notes. Now I've got an exercise for you to try. What this will do is will force you to play with a big open chamber and put loads of hot air through. It's the hot air. It's like defrosting a car in the morning. That's the type of air you use. So, get a pencil. I'll cook myself. And whack that into the octave key there, like that. So all that does is opens the octave key. And now what this is going to do is you play it on a G, maybe an F and an E. The sound goes a little bit squiffy because you're fighting with the open hole there, and you give it your big loudest G. Now to get that G, you've got to have a very minimal pressure, R2 pressure on your reed, and you've got to have a big open throat. Now if I take that off, there you can hear. You hear the difference. It's kind of the same amount of energy going through. Now if you can play lower. Now if you practice for a couple of minutes, every now and again, every day, well obviously you're practicing every day, but start with a few scales to warm yourself up. Go to your big G exercise with the pencil in there and give it a good old blast at the G, the F and the E, and see if how you can get it. Now if you've got any type of closed throat or pressure on the reed, you won't be able to play those notes, and that's making you open the throat and and put the hot air through and the pressure. It's like a huff and a down and out with your air sound. And so if you try that for don't overdo it, maybe a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of minutes is good. Take a little breath in between and get used to that sound and how it feels to vibrate, how it feels to blow. Then go into your normal practice, and then maybe 5 minutes in, suddenly think, how am I sounding? Go back to your big G, put your pencil in, give your G again. Am I using the same pressure? How do I sound? Back into it. So you're kind of always referring back to that sound and as a reference to try and get the big sax sound. And give it another 15 minutes, 20 minutes into practice. How am I sounding again? Just think, am I doing the big G? Have I gone back to my old way? Am I biting too hard? Eventually you'll get the hang of the sound, and then you'll be able to pick it up, and it gets quite a nice big sound when you blow it correctly. Even quiet, it sounds nice. That concludes my demo on how you should blow the saxophone.